want to welcome to the podcast, Miss Superstar. I'm going to call Superstar Elle Vernee. What's going on, my sister?
Oh, what's going on? Thank you for having me. It's so good to see you.
It's so
Good
good.
to see you.
It's been too long, right? It's been too long.
It's been a long time, but I don't know if it's too early to bring this up, but I worked with you very early. You were still a student at Full Sail. And I remember that project. I will never forget it.
Wow.
I believe it was one of my first student projects.
Really?
So of course I was, well, what's this going to be about? And it was so much more than what I had expected.
Wow.
I've done some sets since then that were comparable and they weren't. So I will always remember your short very, very well. I remember you sitting in the car when we did the accident, the accident scene where there's a crash and you were actually laying in the back seat.
Right? Crazy. Beginning days.
How could I ever forget that?
Right.
So it was a long time ago, but there's so much about that you probably don't realize I still remember. And little lessons I learned from you early on in that shoot.
Too much, too kind, too much. And to believe it or not, that was actually a film. It wasn't a student film. It was right after I had graduated.
That's what it was.
So this was kind of like my second film, but my first film after film school, because we did one of the films right before I graduated film school. And then we did that one like a couple months, or it could have been almost a year, probably, a few months after. So that was really scary to do it without my film team.
That's what it was. That was the anxiety, right? The anxiety of brand new film student, just graduated. That's exactly what it was.
Oh my goodness.
But you nailed it. I still remember that. I remember you losing an actor. The day of I don't even know if you remember that.
I don't even remember that one.
I tell people that I've told people this story before. We lost an actor the day of our shoot.
Okay.
And you found somebody. I mean, and I thought when I heard through the grapevine before I showed up to set.
Oh.
And so when I met you.
So much be happening.
Yes. And I heard about it. And when I met you, you were cool as a cucumber. You had already replaced the person. I think there were probably even people that didn't realize the person that you replaced had replaced the person who the person you came in was. There were probably people that couldn't even tell that you had just.
See? And I forgot. So it was just one of those, you had to think quick.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we had a backup, right?
Yeah,
oh my goodness! So I didn't even remember all that. Wow, you bringing back some great memories.
I mean it. That was such an early lesson for me. So thank you.
The show must go on, as we learn in theater, right? The show must go on. I always tell them that. So yes, what some great memories. Wow, it's been a while. So, and I was thinking about that too as I was preparing for this interview. I was like, we haven't worked together in forever. We haven't got to catch up in forever. And just to think how much both of us have grown since that opportunity, it's just beyond this world. So just imagine when that time come back. Blessings, right? So, but I'm super excited about that. So let's get into some of these questions here. The people want to know. We want to know about Miss Vernee here, right? Miss Elle Vernee. Where did you grow up and how did that affect who you have become?
Oh, I am from Birmingham, Alabama. I was actually born in Louisville, Kentucky, but I really don't have a memory of that. My upbringing is Birmingham. And I didn't leave Birmingham or the state of Alabama until probably late 20s. So it's everything. I just put that on my social media that you don't really, home isn't where you leave, home is what stays with you. So I feel like everything and every lesson that I learned being raised in Birmingham is with me. Very strong people, obviously. Everything from having a grandmother that was part of the civil rights movement.
Wow.
So that's in my blood to deal with rejection and, the persistence you need for the things the type of life that you want. I learned those lessons growing up in Birmingham, and that has transferred into what I do now, I believe.
Nice.
And
Wow.
grateful for it. So grateful for
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you can't, that's amazing. Just to know that history too. So
Yeah.
yeah, so what an amazing history there. Did you know what you wanted to be as a child? Back in the day, back way back.
Way back, I knew what I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. We're here now because of me as an adult reflecting back on, well, if we got to work the rest of our lives. And, what is that thing that I'm going to enjoy working and doing? Because I learned
Good.
really early that just getting a paycheck wasn't going to cut it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, I loved writing. I loved acting. My poor brother and my poor little cousin, I used to force them to do these vignettes with me. I would write these quick little scenes, these one acts, and make them perform them when we were all together at my grandmother's home. So I know what I loved. I did not realize, though, that that was something that people can really do for a living. I come from a family of all types of professionals: doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, entrepreneurs, mechanics, everything, the whole gamut. But at the time, growing up, there was no one who was a 100% artist for a living.
Mm.
So I always
Okay.
knew what I loved, but it was never something that I thought I would try to make a living doing
Mm-hmm.
until I actually became an adult, came out in the work world, and was like, wait a minute, this is this is real, this adult thing, this adulting.
Yeah.
We got to
Oh
work
yeah.
this hard. I think I want to try to figure out what I love. And it was me reminiscing and reflecting on the things that I know I enjoy doing. And here we are. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Wow. Just working. I love it. So what is the morning routine for you? How can we describe your morning routine? I'm big on like having a certain routine helps me focus more throughout the day, especially when you got three kids running around like I do now. So I have to have a routine in place. I'm not always able to follow that routine because of the
Right.
family,
Right.
but I try my best to try to at least practice that and get to the point where I can focus on this. It's going to help me, one, be a better person spiritually, mentally, and physically. So what would you say would be your routine right now? Or we can even talk about where you're trying to get that routine too, if you want.
You caught me at a good time because my routine is finally consistent. I felt like God had been dealing with me for years about
Mm.
getting up early. Um, I try to get up like 4:30.
Woo, yeah.
And because what you just said was beautiful. Once you get going for everyone else, you can forget
Mhm.
it.
Right,
And
right.
so it's just in the last few years that I've realized that um, it's mandatory for me
Mhm.
to get my time in before the normal day starts. I was watching something, I don't know if it was a documentary, but I was watching something Kevin Hart said,
Mhm.
and he said that he gets up about 4, and he said it's the only time that he knows his phone won't ring.
Mhm.
No one's
Yeah.
going to be saying anything to him. And for some reason, on top of all the nudges that I've been having for years,
Mhm.
that particular nugget just was like, ooh, ooh,
Right,
that
right.
sounds that sounds so good. And like you said, sometimes we fall short, but I do notice I feel off because I
Mhm.
haven't had my time to sit. And I normally get up and read, I write. That's normally when I self-tape.
Yeah.
If I'm not self-taping, that's the time that I use to do my scene work and memorize the piece. If I have to do it that night. But yeah, so that's
Oh,
kind of what a morning looks like for me. It's my time to normally just sit, be still, meditate, pray, read, and then most of the time, if I can't do that, it's because I'm on a deadline to get something turned in, an audition for self-tape.
nice, nice. I love it. I love it. I'm trying to work on that thing too, getting up earlier
Yeah.
because it
You
makes a
caught me
big
at the
difference.
right time. I'm consistent nowadays, but I
Yeah.
do have my moments, of course.
Yeah, it's still a work in progress for your brother. So, one day I'm gonna get it. One day, but yes, I know I'll be off when I can't get my time in with God and pray. I'll be so off, sis. So
Yeah.
I already know it makes a big difference. What would you say will be your biggest passion in life?
My biggest passion? As of right now, my biggest passion, the thing I'm most consistent about, that I think about the most, is making sure I am not being selfish. If that makes sense, where meaning I just want to make sure, I'll say it like this. I've just been noticing that there are things happening to where we've become a very selfish society. And I've kind of felt in my own personal world where I've dealt with things that I wish someone would see me or hear me or help me. And I just
Hmm.
remember thinking, okay, I can't control what these people are doing, but I can control me. And
Hmm.
that's an affirmation that I'm making daily. I can control me. And that's one particular passion that I have about
Okay.
making sure I don't mirror what's going on. I
Wow.
can't do anything
That's deep.
about that,
Right.
but I can make sure I see people. I help when I can help someone.
Hmm.
And it's my a current passion of mine. It's weird how it happened and it just overtook me where I just was like, okay, I can't control anybody not wanting to help me or noticing some situations where I have people that aren't being helped. I was like, well, you know what? I'm really passionate. I'm really adamant of making sure I don't fall into that category.
Hmm.
And then, of course, the overall passion, my artistry, the writing, the acting, making
Yeah.
sure that I stay moving, which you said that earlier, like just make sure I stay moving, stay active, always have something going on. Try not to get too caught up in the, uh, I guess the best way to say is the budgets of things.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
make sure that I'm being taken care of and being treated as a professional, but at
Hmm.
the same time realizing if it's a great story and we are truly doing the best that we can do, let's go.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love that. Great answer, sis. Great answer. What would you say would be a pet peeve of yours?
Pet peeve. I think I have a bunch.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I think
Say,
that's it.
uh-oh, uh-oh.
Let's go with that. Let's go with that. The making sure we're treating everyone and
Mhm.
doing the best we can do.
I love it.
Um,
Oh yeah.
especially in our industry.
Right, right. Oh yeah.
I've been asked to be a part of projects where the makeup person was getting paid astronomically
Mm.
and the catering budget was off the yin yang. And it's just like, well, what are you
Wow.
paying the actors?
Right,
And
right.
it's like, oh, well, they're only getting, oh, well, that's not gonna work,
Hmm.
That's something that's a huge pet peeve of mine. It's like
Yeah.
either nobody's making any money
Right, right.
or we all making money. It's just
Yeah.
kind of
Oh yeah. I
that's
agree.
that's something that gets me really kind of just incensed. So yeah, that's a huge pet
Hmm.
peeve of mine.
Oh,
Making sure we realize this is a collaborative effort that requires all of us.
oh
So when
yeah.
it comes to compensation and the perks, make sure you think of everyone that was needed for that project to exist.
Right,
So
right. Oh
yeah,
yeah. Gotta put that in play. Gotta put
yeah,
that in play. You're right
needs to
about
be it
that.
needs to be equal, whatever it is. Just needs to be
Gotta be equal. Yeah, I've had a film that we pretty much a feature film that we've done in the past. Wasn't my own, but I've worked on it. And they pretty much the budget, it was a low budget feature, but amazing, amazing story and
right.
topic. But they made sure everybody was pretty much paid the same exact same across the
Yep.
board. It worked out for that, and we showed that we can get a film done for that cost. Now, is it something that we want to continue to do? No, we're not going to do that again.
No,
We did it. We did
no.
it. We made it happen. But we got it done. But learning a lot of lessons learned on that journey, I will
Yeah.
say. What would you say one of your biggest challenges in life would be?
Challenge. Ooh. My biggest challenge at the moment is what we talked about earlier, time management as far as making sure I realize I'm human
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge to-do list person. I will make a list till we're all just blue in the face. And I'm one of those people. It's like once I write it down, once I've made the list, it's like I have to do it. So my biggest challenge is time management, in that being realistic of what I can do in a day, in 24 hours, in an hour. You know, it's like, you'd be amazed. I just recently had to come to the revelation. There's no way you can do A through Z in an hour. It's just not physically possible.
Right.
So time management is, I'm really bad at it, as far as like not realizing how much I can get done in a certain amount of time. So working on that heavily, trying not to make so many lists, and trying not to beat myself up if the list is not complete at the end of the day. It's amazing the anxiety that I bring on myself. I made the list.
Oh yeah,
You
you
know,
made the list. Right. We
the
do
list
that to
didn't come,
ourselves.
the list didn't come down from the government or from God or anything, and I got to get it done. You know, this isn't Squid Games or anything like that. But yeah, so big challenge for me is my
Big
time.
challenge. Now, I love making lists. I found it, and when I get off of it, my mind and my brain be scrambling, between work and everything I'm doing. The list definitely helps me. And what I do is I don't make it too long, just make it like, these are the things that I have to do today. And I add some things on, like, hey, I need to work on that TV pilot, or I need to work on that script. And of course, have a lecture here and little things like that. What do you write your lists in the mornings, or do you write them the day before? Because I've heard, various people sometimes write them the day before at night, right while they're winding down. To me, I kind of would just write it that morning. It kind of helps me. It's fresh on my mind. What would you say, sis? What do you do
I do them in the morning.
in the morning?
But as far as, like you just said, it's a challenge. I want to do it the night before.
Gotcha.
My ideal would be to do it the night before, but right now, in that early morning, that's one of the first things I do, is the list for the day. But my goal is to do a lot more things in the morning. I mean, the day before.
The day before, yeah.
And, I'm just now getting into having a digital calendar, because I like paper. I still like old school books, and
It's so hard.
but
It's so hard.
it's so hard. But I just now stepped into the 21st century, and I'm using a digital calendar that's even connected with my alarm. So
that's cool.
that's another reason why I want to start getting things set in motion the night before, so I can kind of use some of these new stuff we got going on to help me. But right now, in the mornings.
In the mornings right now. Okay. I like it.
And something else I've noticed I do too, you just said it, when life starts lifing and we get distracted, I'll find myself making a abbreviated list for the next 2 hours, just to get me centered.
Oh yeah.
And that's where it's getting a little crazy, where I was saying I make lists till we're blue in the face, because I have these lists where it's like, but it helps to get me centered and get off the distraction, and so
I think
it.
What's amazing to me about the list too is it's like I'm able to scratch it off, and it's just a great feeling when you can just scratch things off the list. I'm just like, I don't know what it is. I'm like, oh, finish the grading. 3 more things to go. Like, it, to me, it means something. It's like I'm getting things done. It's a reminder. I was listening to someone, it was amazing, great, just talking about the morning routine and how you can just make your bed in the morning. You've already accomplished something. Because a lot of us, I know back in the bachelor days, it was just like, I would just get up and go. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, oh, after hearing that, let me try to make the bed in the morning. And and I feel like I've accomplished something already, just making the bed. So it's just amazing how the mind thinks, just stuff like listing and doing things and accomplishing things. I'm just like,
and that's part of why I loved the paper to-do list, because of the endorphins you get when you scratch off something that you've done. So that was one of the things I was holding on to the paper, and they have it. What I use when I complete a task, it has a line across. It just doesn't feel the same. But
yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I struggle still too because you know, when it comes to the writing, which
Mhm.
you want to type a lot, you know what I'm saying, on the computer because it's already there. But I'm so used to having that notebook and writing my notes down, writing the scene here. And so even today, I was writing up a new podcast that I want to do, an episode. And so it's kind of like it feels good when you can just write stuff and pull away, from the computers here and there. So
Yeah,
I still try to do that. Now it feels great to just type that script right in because you don't have to type it later. so,
that
but
part.
so yeah, so I still go back to the notebook and the pencil or the pen,
Yeah.
um, for certain things, just to pull away from the computer. But yeah, so why are you passionate about writing though? I know I saw a lot of writing. I hear a lot about writing from you, especially. So what makes you so passionate about writing?
It's just something I've always enjoyed. Like, even today, I took some time out, after an appointment and just sat and journaled. It's just something about writing for me has always been an easier way of communicating for me.
Hmm.
I think I've even heard people saying it really is an easier way for all humans, and it's what makes us human in that
Right.
we write versus, animals and can't do that. But so I just always loved it. I can get thoughts out. I seem to feel like it's just an easier way to communicate for me. And I feel like I can say more
Hmm.
when I'm writing. I
Yeah.
love characters.
Oh
I
yeah.
love thinking about, even when I'm people watching.
Right.
Um,
I thought that was just me.
uh, no. I love just kind of looking at a group of people or a couple of people and wondering what their story is and what brought them here. And I can get to that point to where I don't even want you to tell me what really is. They're really brother and sister, or they're really granddad, grandma, and the grandkids. I don't want to know because I've already.
Right, right,
So
right.
I've always been fascinated by people and
Mhm.
personalities, story. When I was little, uh, my grandmother called me the human tape recorder.
Ooh, I did see that
Yeah,
in your bio.
yeah, I loved hearing people talk, and I loved the influxions and gossip. And so when I was a kid, now that we see what I enjoy to do, I just enjoyed the stories of it. I didn't realize I
Yeah.
was repeating things that weren't supposed to be repeated, or, as a kid, but so and that transferred into, writing stories. And
Mhm.
it's just something it just feels great to do. And I love putting my stories down and having them, you know, etched forever.
Yes.
Um, so I wish
That's
I had more
awesome.
time, if I could just
Right,
sit,
right, right.
you think about the Walden days of people that can go off and just write.
Mhm.
Ugh, maybe
Yeah,
one day.
I'm very bad. It's like when I have the free time, I'm not motivated to write, but it's when I'm the busiest. I'm in a production. I'm working on a production. My schoolwork is
It
booked out.
comes. Yeah.
Now I want to write all of a sudden. It's like and I think working on projects is what really motivates me. If I'm working on like a film or something, I'm like, yo, I want to write now. All of a sudden, it's so weird how that happens. And I'm getting like a whole script done while I'm working on another project.
Well, and it's interesting you said that, because during the shutdown, you would have thought I was like, this is it.
Right. This is life.
I remember my mom being like, "Are you writing?" I couldn't
Right.
write.
Wow.
I
Wow.
was so
Yeah.
just nervous, and I
Hmm.
wasn't comfortable. And
Yeah.
I learned through that experience and, reflecting back on why wasn't I writing? Because
Right.
I had colleagues that were.
Hmm.
I couldn't be creative. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And then I've met other people that said the same thing. So I was just like, I just was in a slump. So
Yeah.
I
Weird
felt like that
time.
was my one time to do the full writing.
Yes.
And I didn't have it. I wasn't in the mood to do that. I wasn't in the mood
Yeah.
to be creative.
Yeah, I think I birthed me and my wife birthed the other podcast show we have probably at the
Okay.
end of that, but we were having two
Right. At
children
the
in the
end, yeah,
midst.
yeah.
Yeah, we had one right before and then one at the end. It was a lot going on. Then surgeries for RD3. It was busy. It was busy.
Wow.
So we got stories to tell on all of that anyway.
And
But yeah, so interesting though, right? During
Yeah.
COVID season, we just kind of paused up. But yeah, very interesting. Who's the one person you would say influenced you the most in life?
Uh, Definitely, it's a tie between my mother and my grandmother.
I was going
Um,
to say that, but I wanted to make sure, you know.
yeah. Watching them, my mother, single mother, watching her, I think I learned my independence from her.
Hmm.
And it was so good, right? That when I became an adult, I had to almost brainwash some of that away. It was such a good experience of seeing someone work like she worked, her work ethic. I have her work ethic for sure. And my grandmother as well. So I would
Hmm.
say being raised by them and a lot of the things that I'm consistently complimented on, professionalism, work ethic, generosity, I get all of that from them.
Mm, that's nice. I love that. I love that. Next question for you. What challenge in your life shaped you the most?
What challenge shaped me the most? Ooh, probably my move to, oh, wait a minute. I've moved 3 times.
Mm,
I
okay.
guess I would say each time I have moved has shaped me. But the one thing that has shaped me the most would be that is that is a there's so much. I'm trying to think.
Mm,
Okay, the one thing I know that has shaped me the most is when I decided to become a professional storyteller.
mhm,
Um, I realized because it was during a time where I had a job that I could have retired in.
mm,
I
yeah.
could have retired. I got that job, the job with the package and the benefits. And um, I was very, very unhappy.
Mm,
And eventually ended up having um, some health issues because of it. It's a
oh,
really, really long story, but it's a great one. One day I can hopefully
yeah.
tell it. But I ended up having these chest pains and was
Oof.
rushed to an emergency room because it was
Mhm.
stroke light, the pain that goes up
Oh.
the arm or whatever. And everything was great. And I ended up going to all these different specialists over the next several weeks. And everybody was like, "You're fine." And it wasn't until my very last test that they were like, "This is the last thing we can do." And one of the nurses was like, "Just journal when you get the pains." And we found out I was getting the pains around work time.
Mm, wow.
Thought, I guess somewhere the thoughts of going to work, being at work was a stress for me that it was causing these pains.
Mhm.
I worked with some great people. I could have worked with those people for the rest of my life. They were wonderful, wonderful people.
Yeah.
Um, and realized that I need to be doing something creative, something that I enjoy. And so that's pretty much the one thing that changed the trajectory of my life because I
Mm,
was like, I can't come to work and be so in the subliminal stress to a point to where it's giving me chest pains.
right,
So
right.
um I remember fasting because I was concerned,
Yeah.
right? It was a situation where you're like, this is a job that someone would love to have and love to retire in. um what is the problem? What am I supposed to do if I'm here? And during that fast is when I started remembering the days that we were talking about earlier when I was a kid. And I
Mm,
remember being happy. And I
yeah.
remembered, okay. And even then, I started working with a nutritionist, an alternative medicine type.
Mhm.
And she was telling me, if you're creative, you have to be creative. It
Mm,
will affect you. And
yeah.
she went into she went really deep on some of the diseases that we have,
Wow.
um, are because people are doing these jobs just for a check, and
Yeah.
kind of this hamster wheel is not healthy for us.
Mm,
It's like, good you're praying about it, and from what I got back during my fast, it matched.
Wow.
And I haven't had that issue since.
Mm,
So that was the biggest. That was the biggest.
that's wow.
Yeah. It really changed everything. I'm kind of sort of grateful for the pains in a weird
Hmm.
way, just
Hmm.
because I would have just stayed comfortable in that position and been
Yeah.
fine. And so I'm kind of, it worked out. All things
Right.
worked in
Right.
that
Right.
particular situation, right? So,
Yeah. It
yeah.
was this. I forgot the name of him off the top of my head, but Monique, my wife, was the one who told me about him, and because she's so motivated by him. And
Mhm.
he has this saying where he say basically, we're created to create. Our Heavenly Father created the universe. So you better believe he expect us to be creating, and in
Right.
whatever form or fashion that you create or you enjoy, you're passionate about, you should be creating something. So it just really touched me because back around the time that we finished that film Suffering that we both were working on together, I was in a really dark place and it was very depressing because I was like, here I am. I've done, a few short films, few plays, a couple short films, but I'm like, what is next, God? And I'm feeling like, do I supposed to be doing? I'm working at, the L House as a door guy. I'm a substitute teacher. This is not what I want to be doing the rest of my
Right.
life.
Right.
So it was very depressing. So I realized in that season I was depressed, and I didn't even know I was depressed during that time until later, looking back on it. But I was depressed because I wasn't creating, and
Right.
so that's why that statement really like, wait, this is real. It is very real. We
It
supposed to
is
be
very,
creating.
it's very real. And it was such a scary time just because when I tell you, every specialist, I took every stress test,
Mm,
every x-ray, and they were just like, everything is great. They're
mm,
like, I'm in pain. So,
wow.
I guess that was my sign early on that, sorry, you're not going to be able to fake this. So
Yeah.
and and that's when like I said, I went on the fast and I just was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I need to figure that out. I need to know. And it was interesting at the beginning of the fast, I told God I knew he was going to tell me he wants me to go back to school for IT. So,
Mm,
so
wow.
that's
Wow.
what it was so funny. I was like, I'm gonna do this fast. I already know you want me to go back to school for IT, but I'm gonna do this fast anyway to hear from you. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That never came, and it was interesting how I was reflecting on the days of I had some poetry that was published as a kid and
Mm,
times of, and I was like, and I just sat in those days and those moments and was just like, oh, those were such good times because I'm waiting on him to tell me I'm going back to school for IT.
yeah.
So it's just like, oh, those guys, I remember, oh,
Oh
that was so
man.
fun. And then, back to the past, kind of thing. And
Right.
it wasn't until like the end of it that I was like, you're reflecting on that's the answer. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, so yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's something there. That's something. Wow. Yeah, that's a good one. So what would you say would be your top three movies? I love these new questions. Oh man.
Oh, yeah. Top three. Definitely. I watch this one probably once a quarter. Ray.
Right?
David Price.
Whoa. Well, yeah, that's epic
That
there
that
now. Come
that
on now.
film,
That film.
from
Whew.
him to Regina King to Audrey Ellis, like,
Yeah.
and I just don't. It does not get old for me.
Mm-mm. Nah.
And so that's another
What a
one.
story.
The next one would have to be Forrest Gump.
Okay, I'm
Um,
loving these. Okay, I see where we going with this. All
well,
right.
and Forrest Gump is because of I met the author of the book.
Wow.
And
Oh my
as
goodness.
a writer,
Yeah.
he did a lecture, and so Winston Groom, and so I went to see it, and it was just a beautiful process of how he came up with the character, and then of course it ends up becoming this movie, and I love the movie
Yeah.
even
Oh,
before all of this
amazing.
kind of accidentally happened, and so now it means a lot to me. And then,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, only one more.
One more.
Oh,
What would be it? What would make the cut?
only,
You have
only.
two epic movies that you've already listed. So I'm just trying to see what number
Oh,
three.
oh, it's brand new. Have you seen Origin?
No, I haven't seen Origin yet. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. Gotta add this. I already heard your last two, so I'm gonna have to add this to the list. So
That I wasn't ready for how the impact. People that know me know this. This is strange, but they know me, they're used to it. Movies that I know I'm going to see, I
mhm.
won't watch the trailer. I won't watch any press. I
Mhm.
scroll past anything about
That's
it,
a good.
or I'll save it. Everybody that knows me knows this. So it's
Mhm.
like everyone's always ready to talk about it after I see it. So I went into Origin just knowing about Aljanae Ellis and Ava DuVernay. That was
Mm,
enough for me. I knew I was going to see it.
mhm,
So what a pleasant surprise on the story based on the book by Isabel Wilkerson. And
mm.
yeah, it's in there.
Okay.
Like I was shook after that film.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to add it to the watch list.
And let me know. Let me know
I'm gonna
what you
have to
think.
let you know. Yes, yes, yes.
There was a lot. The performances were amazing, of course. The direction, there was nothing wrong about that film. The storyline, I just wasn't ready for how good it was. I knew it was gonna be good, but I just
Yeah.
wasn't ready for how good it
Wow.
was gonna be. Yeah.
So what do we say? What would be the top three TV series?
TV series, Girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, thoroughly enjoyed Insecure.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then that obviously there's a theme. I like seeing Black women on TV, I guess.
Yes.
And then TV series, third. That's just because everyone's giving its props right now. I'm gonna say A Different World.
Okay. All
Just
right. That's a good
because
list.
just like everyone is, we're now giving them their flowers again for that show. It just
Mm-hmm.
showed us so much about our culture, and the the storylines were so real and relatable, and I'm just enjoying this time for them that they're getting that. I was watching something recently. They either they're on it or they just finished the HBCU tour. And
Mm.
so kids are watching it like when I watched it and getting the
Wow.
same. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's
Very
that's some
powerful.
powerful writing, that's some powerful direction, that's some powerful acting
Mm-hmm.
that, the kids now are getting the same thing I got when I was that age and younger. And so just because I'm adding that to my list as well.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So let's get into some career slash education questions here. So tell us what originally inspires you to want to get into, well, first acting, okay, and then
Okay.
also writing and even directing. I'm hearing theater. You're a theater director. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is amazing, sis. It's amazing. So
Yeah,
what
that
inspired all of this?
it's that same moment where I realized if I got to put in work to do something while I'm here, what is it?
Hmm.
And that's what I always was in the church plays growing up. And I mentioned earlier I was making my relatives perform shows, and everything from memorizing Thriller and performing it perfectly for our family. And so I've always been into acting. I've always mimicked people. I still do.
Hmm.
uh, and so I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I took courses at the University of Alabama. And I just was like, well, okay, if let's just see. And I remember taking acting 101, and he did this game at the beginning of the class. It was a vulnerability type exercise. And we didn't know this, but he was basically, if you ended up having a reaction to the game, it showed you had the vulnerability that it takes to be a professional actor.
Okay.
And I realized at that point, this is something that I really wanted to do. I do enjoy, I guess, the same fascination with people and personalities is what I have when I approach a character, and I enjoy being that person. I also realize I enjoy playing characters that aren't like me. Lately, that's been kind of the focus for me. To I had an audition last week for a character that was the complete opposite of me. And I was so excited to approach it.
Hmm.
I've always just in love acting. I've always enjoyed mimicking people. The writing piece has always been there. And then becoming an adult and wanting to see certain stories further enhanced why I wanted to become a
Mm.
writer.
Yes.
And then when I was living in Orlando and was working for Cox Media, that was my opportunity to start writing for the radio. I remember doing Black History
Okay.
moments. I remember doing different vignettes that we used on air. And then that transferred into doing small skits at festivals like at Lake Eola,
Mm.
the MLK Gospel Fest. There
Sweet,
was
sweet.
there were town forums. And so that gave me a taste of the live theater piece. And that's what kind of that's how I got bit by that bug and went into writing plays and producing them. And and I was blessed to be able to have people that wanted me to put my work on their stages. I did some things for the Wells Built Museum of African American History and City of Orlando, and it just all kind of fell into place.
Yeah. It's
And
amazing.
then my first love though
Amazing.
was my first love was screenwriting. So it was kind of a great distraction, right?
Hmm.
From that. And so now when I moved to LA, I'm now trying to bring it all back to screenwriting.
Mm. Okay.
Particularly, I think I've been writing more features, but I do have some television pilots and things like that. So
Nice.
yeah,
That's
so we're
amazing.
trying to
You know, I
bring all
can't
that
wait.
back.
I can't
But
wait to see. I
me,
want to see it all too. I don't hide nothing from me. I want to see it all. I want to see it all.
I can't wait too.
Yes, yes. I'm working on a lot too, so I've been quiet about a lot. Yeah, just get ready.
And that's the thing, right? We have all these because it requires so much quiet time and
Yes, it does.
and then you're worried about your idea leaking and it's
Hmm.
a you can't really be too open to talk about, you
Yeah.
know, what you're working on and ideas that you have. And so yeah, it
Hmm.
is it's not for the weak. You
Yeah.
have to be
Oh
able
yeah.
to be alone a lot and but I love it. I
It's
absolutely
nothing like it.
right.
We were created to do that, right? Now that we know.
Yes.
Oh yes. So let's go back because a couple questions came up, that I want to check in on. When you were at Alabama University, was the college you were at?
Yes, University of Alabama.
Wow, University of
Yeah,
Alabama.
yeah.
What were you studying originally out there?
Originally English and
Okay.
history.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
right, right. So
Yeah.
it's like it wasn't a big old change or anything like that.
Yeah.
But just during that time, at the time I thought I was old as dirt. I was like maybe 24, 25, something like that. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm a senior. I don't want to be, starting
Yeah.
over on something else. And I was working for the University of Alabama, and you got, I believe, six credits, 6 hours free with your package for working with them. And
Okay.
so I was like, let's try it. And that acting 101 class also could fall under one of the things that changed my life. Um,
Mm.
because I was blessed to have an instructor that was an LA former casting agent.
Oh,
He
wow.
brought it,
Okay.
yeah, he brought in headshots of with Holly Berry and Cameron Diaz, and he brought them in to show us the notes that they write, these heinous notes that they write on your headshot
Mm-hmm.
during your auditions and things like that. So just
Mm.
to be able to take acting 101 on a college level from someone who's in the industry, and after that I was just sold and continued. I took 102, I took intro to theater courses, I took
Wow. Okay.
study. Yeah,
Yeah, a
and
lot more.
because I remember thinking, well, if I'm going to do this, because again, I was still waiting for my cue to go back to school for IT.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if I'm going to do this, I want to do it right. I don't
Right.
want to stumble in this. I don't want to, some people, it works for them, but I
Yeah.
just
Oh yeah.
always felt led that I want to learn what you're supposed to learn. I want to know the ins and outs of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be wasting my time because I was, like I said, I was in my mid-20s thinking I've wasted enough time. I
Yes,
can't.
yeah.
So,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah, yeah, it was great.
Wow.
It was interesting, the pressure that was on that I put on myself. Everyone that was there has been acting since they're like 4, right?
Mm,
They've been in
hmm.
commercials. They knew this is what they wanted to do, and which actually worked out to be around artists for the
Yeah.
first time.
Hmm.
Was a big help too. Some of the quirks that I had, I saw them in when I finally met these theater people and these acting makers
Hmm.
and things like that. I was like, so that was another confirmation of, oh, that's my tribe. So
Yeah.
that
Oh
was a
yeah.
great, yeah, that was
That's
wonderful.
awesome. That's awesome. And what brought you to Orlando from
My
there?
first acting contract, I did a
Mm,
short play festival at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, and there was a director from the Orlando Repertory Theater who was there
mm,
as an adjunct professor that semester at UAB.
mm,
So he saw me perform in the short play festival that they had while I was still in Birmingham.
hmm.
And he asked me to come and audition for the Orlando Repertory Theater. And I
Wow.
was offered my first professional acting contract with the Orlando Repertory Theater for To Kill a Mockingbird.
Wow.
They
That
kept
is
turning. And that's
amazing.
what took me to Orlando.
Wow. All the
Right.
way to Orlando.
So Orlando was never in my dreams of acting, right? We think of New
Yeah.
York, LA.
Right,
So I
right.
remember him asking me, and I was like, Orlando?
Hmm.
Okay. But Orlando it was and is the spot. I continue to get acting contracts with the theaters. I booked my first national commercial. I
Mm,
shot some of my first films.
yeah.
That time was such a blessing. It was just such a blessing to me.
Right, right. Got to
Yeah.
meet Ronald Diltz II. I
I
mean,
met
come on
Ronald
now.
Diltz. I was on one of his films. Like,
Oh,
it's amazing how wonderful Orlando was, to know that it wasn't even in my thought
yeah.
process before the
Yes, that's
moment I
amazing.
met him.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I was like, well, what brought you down there? But that's that God works in mysterious ways. So,
Yep.
yeah, so it
Yep.
ain't over, sis.
Tad
Just know that.
Ingram, director Tad Ingram. Yep. It was just like
Wow.
Orlando, and it's so much going on in Orlando.
Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's cool. And it's not over. So get ready.
No,
The connection.
no, that's I was just like, this is
Get
awesome.
ready.
I didn't even, I wasn't,
Y-
and with Disney and Universal, there's things
Right.
with, so yeah,
Yeah.
so
A lot.
grateful. So
Oh yeah.
grateful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful town. What do you wish you would have known, prior, to all the things that you're doing now in your career? What did you wish you would have known back then when you were first starting out?
I think this is not as a regret, but if I could go back, um, I would have come on to LA.
Mm, gotcha.
Um, it worked out
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It's not really a regret, but if I got in a time machine,
Mm-hmm.
I would come on to LA,
Yeah.
um, and just get going, because
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy the community of it. Like I just mentioned, taking courses at the University of Alabama with those students was just so therapeutic as well. Being around
Right.
people that acted like me and had the same quirks and enjoyed some of the same things and saw life the same way I saw them. And
Mm,
um, I love being in LA because of that. I love, you go to Chipotle, the guy that's making your burrito is a dancer or
mm, yeah.
has a singing contract, that he just signed, or the artistry, just the community of artistry here. I absolutely love it. So I think that would be the one thing that I would change, or get
Yeah.
to a city or a community where everyone is just more artists. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have belabored it as much as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Again, working out great, but
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
That's good. No, that's good. And I feel that we just get more creative around other creators.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
So yeah. So it's something about that energy, in the room.
Yep.
So yeah. So how did you get your first major opportunity out in LA? Tell us about that experience.
My first major one, it was interesting. It was just through a casting.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, when I moved here SAG eligible because I'd done films, obviously, and
Mm-hmm.
I gained my SAG status through a commercial I did in Orlando for Publix. Made
Nice.
me it made me SAG eligible. So I
Wow.
guess when I kind of got here, I didn't know what to do because I guess I was feeling myself and I didn't want to start from the bottom or start over or whatever, when actually that's what you're gonna have to do when
Mm-hmm.
you come
Mm-hmm.
out here. But I had done so much. I felt different from that person that just left home and came to LA. It was like, well, I've
Yeah.
done films, I've done commercials, I've done stage. So I think I was kind of waiting on um I don't know. I guess I was waiting on Denzel to knock on the door, like
Yes.
so, and then I was writing, and then I remember being like, okay, just do what you came here to do. And it actually was the first casting that I submitted for. And they
Mm,
were looking for I played uh, a mother whose husband had like lost all their life savings in a
mm,
um, Ponzi scheme kind of thing.
mhm.
Very loaded, very flawed, which I love, like,
Yeah.
lot. And turned out there was just this great cast. The son of a legendary director was directing, and
Mhm.
it was a lesson to me. I know it was God telling me, get up, get out, keep
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
going. It's
Keep
like,
going.
it's not, no one's coming. It's not falling in your lap. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Because the very first one was just such an amazing project. And then right before that, even when I was living in Dallas, Texas before that, and I had done a movie, um, Carter High with Vivica Fox and Charles Dutton, and so it was just all these opportunities. It's interesting. There are opportunities when I'm just out being active, and that's when things hit for me. Just
Mhm.
you just get out, get amongst the people, the connections are made, and we just hope we can keep that going the
Right,
rest of
right.
our career, and keep getting great projects. But that's how it happened. It was just a casting that I submitted for one of the major casting sites here, and it was just a blessed opportunity.
Wow, that's amazing, amazing. Tell us about a time you failed and how did you overcome that experience?
Time that I failed. um I guess I'll do an industry fail. um I was doing a show for a professional theater. It's a contract, and I still to this day don't know what I was doing. But anyway, um, I missed an on-stage cue. Like, this particular character I was playing was supposed to come on stage, say a line, come off stage.
Mm,
And I did one night of the show, I didn't do it.
mhm.
And it worked out. Again, just talented people.
Mhm.
Someone that was backstage saw she's not where she's supposed to be to go deliver this line. So
Wow.
they delivered it from backstage.
Oh, wow.
Quick thinking, right?
Wow, that's a good way to do.
So anybody that saw that show has no idea, and the type of performer I am and professional I am, it's a story I hate to even think about, but it was
Yeah.
really
Oh, yeah.
my career. And I have no idea to this day. I was like, I don't know what I was doing, why I forgot, why wasn't I, but it did make me stronger when I'm doing
Mhm.
theater. I will not get on my cell phone. It scared me so bad that
Oh,
I can let myself do something like that. Uh,
yeah.
I've done shows where people are like backstage on their phone.
Oof.
People know this about
How
me,
they
and I'm
know?
like, I messed up really bad, and I actually ended up getting written up, and then they
Mm,
dock your pay, in
mm.
theaters or
Wow.
whatever. So it was really, It was bad, but it was something that happened early on for me, and it changed my etiquette when, especially when I'm doing live shows. And I'm, again, one of those things that worked to my good. I'm grateful for the lesson that I got from that.
Nice, nice. That's a story there. What are some key elements that every filmmaker should have when working on set, you would think?
Same thing. What I just want to, I'll pick up from where I was, what I said on that. Stay in the moment of when you're on set. And take that moment seriously. I'm the type of person, I will turn my phone completely off. Stay focused on what we're here to do. Those are my favorite sets, when everyone is that locked in, that zoned in, where we're only concentrating on getting this story made, getting it produced, getting it put up. Take time with your script. We've all seen some amazing budget movies that were horrible, and you can tell, did you let anybody read the script before you shot that? So take time with that script. Some of my favorite films, we'll talk about Ray. I think Ray was somewhere between, it was almost a 20-year process. So, no wonder.
Like, wow.
Right? I believe one of my other favorite movies, Baby Driver. Did you see that? If you have,
I think, yeah.
I got the opportunity to meet the writer for that. It was a 10-year process.
Wow. Okay.
Jordan Peele's Get Out. That was a minute. Just examples. It didn't have to take years, but just because you wrote it and it's ready to go, just make sure somebody saw it. Make sure that script is solid. Because we've all seen some movies where some of the most talented people in the industry still couldn't pull it off.
Right.
When that story's developed properly.
You're so right. So you've been working on a lot of projects, even more recently too. Tell us about this feature, Snatched. What can you tell us, huh? What can you tell us?
That one, speaking of hard, emotional, I played the mother Denise of a woman. It's coming out in the fall. It will be streaming on streaming platforms. Played the mother Denise. Her daughter, very young daughter, is kidnapped. And it's a twist, lots of twists and turns in the story. I don't want to give away what happens at the end, but probably one of the most emotionally draining characters I've done in a film, just because of the thought, having to sit there and repeatedly mimic a woman whose child is gone, and you don't know where the child is, you don't know who has your child. It was a very painful part to play. Hearing the director say back to one was just like,
oof.
Yeah. And the actors were so good. Watching, because I got to, in the film, she doesn't see the kidnapping, but I could see it being shot, and it just looked so real. The young girl that was playing my daughter, the screaming and how she was reacting in the car, and that's what you want, your scene partners, right, to be believable, and it worked. So looking forward to it coming out. Hope everyone enjoys it. It was written and produced and directed by a young woman that she's a one-man show. I was so glad to be able to do for her, Shatifa Carter, and I'm excited about it.
That's awesome. And where is it coming out, in theaters or streaming?
It will be streaming in the fall.
Sweet. Looking forward to that. I will be looking forward. How can our listeners check out more of your work?
I'm on IMDb. I'm on Instagram. Everything's under Elle Vernee, one word.
Sweet.
Facebook, and that's it. Yep.
Well, I just want to let you know, one, thank you so much for taking this wonderful time to be with us. And I mean, we learned a lot.
Thank you for having me.
We learned a lot. And I want to just say, hey, I'm so proud of you. I'm so glad that we're able to reconnect. And I
Yes.
am looking forward to working with you again, my sister. Hopefully, you know, God would answer that prayer.
I'm
And
proud of you too. I was just like, you got podcasts going on. And then when you said you had the 2 podcasts, the family, I'm
oh
just
yeah.
like, again, I beat myself up and I'm like, oh my gosh, people are actually able to, when you concentrate and do it right, like you're doing it, you can get a lot in.
Yeah, try. That's that creative mind, as you know. That's
Yeah.
that creative mind. You got to stay creative. What are some final thoughts you want to leave for our listeners before we wrap this up?
Um, hang in there. I'm saying that just because of, we were talking about the shutdown earlier, and I feel like the energy's changed ever since then. One of my struggles I'm dealing with is making sure the energy around me stays positive, the energy stays in the faith, you know,
Oh
the
yeah.
energy. We have to, you know, it's imperative. Back to that creative piece. I need that to stay healthy. I need the energy to stay right. And I wish that for all of us. I
Oh
wish
yeah.
that we all stay positive as we can and hang in there, all of us.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be my parting words.
Nice. No, I love it. Couldn't say it better. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Miss Elle Vernee. I can't wait to work with you again. So we got to make that happen soon. Okay.
And it's on tape. It's on video
It's
now.
on
So.
video now. I know. I'm stuck now. I'm stuck now. But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work as well. Thank you so much, my
Thank you
sister.
so
It's been
much.
amazing. It's been great. And y'all stay tuned. More great things are in store. All right. Be blessed.